things we've discussed in the past is about key man insurance.
Yeah.
And I find this quite a fascinating little subject. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Little. Massive.
It's a massive one. But as running my own business, I've also looked at I've thought to myself, well, key man insurance, really, what is the point? What does it really do? So then when I discussed this with you, it actually became quite fascinating. So maybe you can explain a little about your key man insurance.
Okay, I think there's probably different levels of key man insurance and different reasons why companies use key man insurance. So if you look at the big multinationals, let's say a CEO of a bank, or again in the automobile industry and manufacturing, this type of thing, they'll insure. The company will insure the key people. So they'll insure the CEO. They'll somebody.
What's the purpose of why?
Basically, if they have to replace that person, they need basically to look at recruitment, training, this type of thing. I think for smaller businesses, another area that some people look at is the top salesman. So if you have a salesperson within the company that can bring in 50% of the revenue, and he becomes critically ill or he drops dead on the job, you have to replace that.
Right.
So that takes time. So you can then basically look at insuring his revenue. Yeah.
Revenue he's bringing in.
Yeah. So you can insure against that happening. So it can be 3 times, 4 times, it could be 5 years, income that you can insure against. Again, it depends how far the company wants to go.
The money he's actually earning. So if he bringing $1 million baht a month, you could be saying, well, I want that money $1 million baht a month.
Yeah. So I want to insure this salesperson for the income, and let's say 3 years income, right? That's probably outside the sort of limits that you would go, but as an example. So that could be 12 million baht a year income that guy brings in for the company. It's 50% of the revenue. So if you lose him, you've either got the sales guys who are still with the company, then having to go to that salesman's clients and then basically build a relationship again. Sometimes some of that falls off. So you insure against that happening. So you insure basically to protect that income, the revenue. You insure to train, recruit somebody similar, if possible. So there's different reasons. Again, you could have 3 partners within a company. One guy has the intellectual property, and if he drops dead, again, you insure against that partner. Now, the partner would of course have family, have beneficiaries to his share in the company. So the other 2 partners then have to decide, okay, do we buy out the partner's family? If they're not interested in the business, they say, no, we're not interested, we just want our share of the company. So you can insure against basically paying that. So that's shareholder insurance as well.
So basically, so the situation, and I think this is relative to small businesses, where you have 3 partners, somebody passes away, we all get old, it all happens to us, and then the other 2 guys go, damn it, what can we do? I mean, this guy's not contributing in anything because he's dead. So how can we pay the family out? So that ensures then to give them the money without having to go into their pocket.
Exactly.
Right? Because they all agreed that if whoever happened to this, it'd be covered. So they can buy that person out for as much as they're insured for. Obviously, if they turn around and you're insured for, I don't know, $1 million and they ask for $30 million, obviously these 2 shareholders are going to have to find the other 29.
Exactly. So when you're in a situation like that, you're basically insuring 3 people, so 3 partners in a company. You're insuring if anything happens to one of those partners. Now, it's not the individuals that pay that; it's the company that pays that. The company pays the insurance against the 2.
Right. Okay. Now, the obvious question is it sounds an ideal situation, worthwhile looking at even from my point of view. Is this just so expensive an SME couldn't afford it?
No, not necessarily. No. I think sometimes life insurance or insurance, people get scared of it because they think the premiums are crazy, but it's you have to weigh it up really. The cost of what if. It's always about what if, isn't it?
Well, that's insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Insurance is a what if.
Whether you look at
scenario, you could see it like a scenario. Let's say, for example, the company's worth, I don't know, 10 million.
Mm.
Yeah. Obviously, you go through due diligence to value that. Yeah. 10 million. And if they wanted to say, okay, well, we want to insure it for key man insurance for each person, you've got 3 guys. So basically, you want to make sure that there's 1/3 or 2/3 of that is covered. Would that cost them 100,000, a million, 10 million? I'm not talking. I'm not asking for a quote.
Yeah.
But just kind of
what percentage of that would you have to pay in premiums, basically?
Well, I think again, you sort of looking at each individual. So again, life insurance, depending on the age.
What's key man insurance?
Yeah. So key man is basically a life or critical illness. So your insurance against, if the guy can't work anymore, or if the guy's no longer there, i.e. he drops dead. You're not insuring against him leaving the company.
Right.
You can't. That's just part of what happens. So key man is basically death or critical illness.
Right.
So I mean, if you look at, so I'm just trying to bring one that just came up recently. So $1 million US, 40-year-old is probably around $3,000 US a year.
Right.
To insure against that. Yeah.
Right. So from a business's point of view, that is not something where you go, oh my God, we would just. It's out of the question.
Yeah. No, but you have to weigh if what is the chance for a 40-year-old. He's not necessarily the chance of him dropping dead is not the same as if you were 50-year-old, where it would be different.
Exactly. And to be honest, that's why the premium. I mean, if you look at $1 million US and you can insure that for $3,000 US, I mean that's fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
It's not out of the question.
Right.
You could look at that on a personal insurance level rather than key man insurance.
But I suppose it's also interesting from the person who's selling it, because the person who says $3,000 isn't much, is probably the person that would actually be taking the key man insurance serious in the first place.
Sure.
Yeah?
But if you looked at if you increase that by 5 years, again you look at the stages at 45 and then at 50, you can see a quite substantial lift in that premium. So
is there an age limit where you wouldn't, like an 85-year-old, or is there a sort of cut-off point?
I think it depends on the size of the company, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes down to the liability. If you have a company, if you have a shareholder, so a company could have debt, so you can insure against the debt. If something happens with one of those, one of the guys, he could be the signatory on the debt, and he dies, and then what happens to the debt? Then the rest of the company has to pay that back. So you can insure against, that business loan,
right,
or the debt that you have within the company. So it might not necessarily be, paying off, a member, a beneficiary of one of the partners. So again, it's really dependent on the individual company, the individual
what the requirement
needs.
is. Okay.
Definitely.
What about with regards to someone retiring? You can't have key man insurance against retirement.
No.
So that'd be right. So that's that answer that question. No, that's a quick answer. Yeah. For people who are coming up to retirement or who are retired. Obviously, just now with the change from the UK perspective, but actually worldwide, the bar against that currency is changed. What is your advice? Because a lot of retirees are now saying, as an example of Brits, it was at 52, 53, and now it's down to 40, yeah. But even when you first arrived, it was 72, So it's all changed. So now people are getting about 20% less.
Yep.
Obviously, you don't have a magic wand, but what would you suggest to them? Hang on, or listen, guys, maybe you got to think about your pensions paid in UK. Time to go back.
Many people did. Many people did actually do that. I think when we looked at 52 to 40 now, around 40. So of course, why did that happen? Because of Brexit, and other things within the markets, interest rates in Thailand. So there's so much that can basically affect the currency, and it really is difficult to actually look at that and say, we could be here in 12 months' time, we could be here in 6 months' time. There's been so many predictions and forecasts on sterling and even other currencies. But I think, I always say to my clients, bring in what you need at the time. And you could turn around and say, I could go to 38.
If I hadn't taken your advice 6 months ago, I'd still be in the 52. Now I'm down to 40.
True. But it's so difficult. Like I say, on the currency side of things, because they do fluctuate so much. You know, you can have a bit of news. I mean, we had a spike last week, I think, on the US dollar, and GBP as well. So I think, and this is what I say about planning. You've got to have that plan in the long term. It's not like day to day. You can't look at it day to day.
So you could actually turn around to someone who's retired here. You could say to them, listen, plan a year in advance, bring enough money in.
When you say bring enough money in for what? Spending?
Yeah, for your living expense.
Living expense.
Any extra, okay, you can bring in when you want, but maybe you plan a year at this rate and accept that, because if it changes, because it is very volatile.
It is.
I feel sorry for the youth of today. I don't know what's going to happen to them. But
so if somebody rings you on the phone and says, I'm a financial investor, you very politely say, at the moment, I'm just spending what I have to. It's all in the UK and it's staying there. Thank you for calling. Bye-bye.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that's
absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so just a last question. Back to the medical packages.
Yeah.
When somebody's looking at a medical package, what should they be looking for as key indicators it's good or bad? Well, or not.
Okay,
It depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, I think really, again, it's don't just sit down with the advisor and take the advisor's advice. I know I should be saying that as an advisor,
Right.
but
We
it's a
mean
fact.
get a second opinion.
Get if you're looking at one plan, shop around. Shop around for different quotes for one plan. As I said, do the research on the company, do the research on the the underwriting insurer. So you have a broker, you have an insurance agent, and then you have the actual underlying insurer.
Right.
So do the research. What's the customer service like? What's the claim system like? Okay, we've got that knowledge, and I can sit there and say, okay, this is great, but just do it yourself.
I mean, that's
as well.
why a lot of people go for the big names, because they literally don't have to do all that, because they, there's not a big name out there that's going to rip you off. AIA, Boo. Well, no, not AIA. I mean, or Boo, but that's why I went for AI, because I couldn't be bothered not to shop around. It was just too much. They proposed to me something that I liked, and because it was AIA, I thought, there we go.
Well, it's peace of mind you're partly paying for, but there's certain things that you look at is obviously your coverage, what you're covering for,
sure.
what display the things you're not covered for, which could be translated into something else. Because you had that, this happened to you. And also things like age, because a lot of the packages will stop insuring at 60. But if you to go for a new insurance company, then you're going to be probably charged a premium because you know history with them.
Yeah, there are companies.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Some go up to 60, some go up to 65, and then they'll say, right, that's it. We can't insure you anymore. There are firms out there that will actually take you on until
I've seen them advertise these people. Are you 70? Do you think it's all you can't do it? All depressing, miserable stuff. Well, we can.
Yeah.
It doesn't say how much for though.
That's right. I think here living in Thailand, do you need inpatient and outpatient?
I'm always just for the in. So the flu and the big bag of tablets they get, I have to pay for. But I don't mind that. No. I'm looking for the biggies, to be honest. Triple bypass.
Things that make you bankrupt.
Exactly.
That's why you insure,
that's right.
I think if you're a family, that might be slightly different. If you're a family of 5, parents, 3 kids maybe, then you might be regularly at the doctors with the outpatients.
Yeah, true.
That might be worth looking at as a family. If you're an individual or a couple, then take the outpatient costs. Just look at the inpatient, and then you can even look at the excess as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because looking at, I know you can get up to, let's say, I was quoted for something like 50,000 excess, and I get a 20% discount. And when you say 50, the 50,000, what it is not a 50,000 on per item. It's a build up. So if I pay the first 50,000 on one operation I've had, that's me covered. They'll cover everything else after that. It's not on individual item, which I did not know. Through my ignorance.
That's your annual excess, basically.
Your annual, So
so you can go to some insurers have limits on that. They'll say, okay, you can only have up to this much. Some will say, take what you want. So if you want 50,000, you can go for 50,000. Again, that's worth looking at as well. The costs of, depending again on the different hospital you're going from Bumrungrad to Samatha Veg to Bangkok,
We won't go into that because I get some.
Don't get started. That's a subject for another day, which actually I do want to talk about. Oh, well done.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, probably that's but
Yeah.
that was the second part, extended version of the first interview. So I'll pass across to.
Well, I'm
Randy.
going to say that was the extended version. So thanks for watching. A good interview. Thank you very much, Paul. Paul Dickinson, Regional Manager of Business Class Asia. Just stay tuned for more on Bangkok ChitChat. We'll see you next time. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.